What about making yours sound better?
Alright, so in this part, we're talking about drums. So for Tay Keith, I was actually listening to some of his beats today while I was preparing for this course because I wanted to really nail down his drum style. And I noticed he just uses some really loud 808s, loud, very resonant 808s. Fast hi-hats, not a ton of percussion. And overall, just he seems to like a pretty decent bounce to his beats. Not a lot of slow beats, so you see I put this at 140. I think that's good. We might even speed it up later on. But for now, I think we're going to keep it here. So let's find some drums here. I want really punchy drums. So like this is a great kick. That's a great kick. I'm going to use this one. This one's super hard. We're going to do that. Nice little open hat there. I'm going to put in some percussion here just to mix it up a little bit. Snare, he likes really like quick snares. Something like that. I don't mind that. That one too I like. Throw that Vox in there. Nice clap right there, we could do. And as far as 808, remember I said very resonant, so looking for something with a lot of high end. That one sounds perfect. Alright, so I think we have all our drum sounds here. Did we get a hi-hat? I don't believe we did. We got an open hat, we get a closed hat. Cool, that one's good. So first off here, we're going to do the hi-hat pattern. And like I said, he likes really quick hi-hats. So I'm going to start, and I'm just going to right-click this hi-hat right here. I'm going to click fill each two. And what that's going to do is going to give us a nice little starting point. I'm going to extend this 4 bars. 4 measures. I'm just going to start drawing in notes. He really doesn't like to differ really from this default pattern, but I'm gonna add some extra hits here and there, just to spice it up a little bit. Up next, I'm going to do this open hat here. Just adding a little hits of that. Lower the velocity a tiny bit. Gonna mix up the velocities here on the second hits of every measure, just to make it a little unique. Make it sound less robotic a tiny bit. Up next, we're going to do the snare right here. I want to use this other snare that we picked, actually, now that I hear that one. Where is it right here? We're going to make that we're going to make that second hit of the snare a little quieter. Cool. Up next, we're going to add a clap to kind of enhance the snare, or that snare hit on the 3. Cool. Up next, I'm going to add in these perks right here. Little off hits. We can make these pretty quiet. add in this other one as well. Up next, we're gonna add the kick here. Little tip for the kicks: I always put the velocity to 100%, just because it makes them hit harder. Just because they're louder. When it hits the limiter, it slams a little harder. It makes have a little more impact. A lot of hip hop producers do that, even though I don't think it's technically correct. But you know, if it works, it works. If it sounds good, if it feels good, then it usually is good. So that's those are the rules that I go by. And while I'm playing this kick here, I'm probably going to have my 808 match it, so I'm trying to hear the bass line in my head kind of as I make the kick pattern. And this is kind of a Tay Keith type of kick pattern here. Last but not least here, we're going to do this 808. And to tune the 808 properly, you want to go to the 808 itself, right click it, click edit in audio editor. That's going to bring up an Edison. And then if you right click that, you go regions and then you do detect pitch regions. It'll come up and it'll show us that is the majority of it is in F sharp. The low attack here is in G, that's no problem. So we're going to mark it here as F sharp. So how you do that, you go to the wrench, or you could do it here. But I usually go to the wrench, and then I go to the piano right here, and I right-click F sharp, and then that'll set the root note to F sharp, meaning that when we play on the piano roll, it'll be the correct note. So right here, I'm gonna copy my my kick pattern to the 808. I'm gonna make sure I lower the velocity though, so it doesn't completely overload the song. And I want it to end. I want this third hit to be F, the root note. So I'm gonna kind of go here. I'm gonna go 5, then 3, then F, I believe. Yeah, that's very Tay Keith sounding. He kind of likes to walk the bass line down like that a little bit. So now that we have our drum patterns here, we're gonna kind of mix these drums here. So what I do here, I drag and I make sure I highlight all these drums here, and then I go to my mixer. I right-click Insert 10, which is the first open one. I go channel routing, and then I click route selected channels starting from this track, not to this track. If you click to this track, they'll all go to insert 10. We don't want that. So we're going to do starting, and that'll lay them out all nice, as you can see here. So now I'm going to go to my playlist here. I'm going to highlight our drum loop, and we're going to listen to it. So the kick's good. The open hat, I'm going to panel it to the right and lower a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of reverb as well. For the perks, I'm going to put this first one a lot to the left and the second one a lot to the right. Just give it a nice little stereo panning. I'm going to EQ these. I feel like I hear a little bit, yeah, a little bit low end in these. Want to make sure we cut all that out. Put a little bit of reverb on here too, why not? Very tiny decay though, maybe like half a second. Or 1 second. Yeah, there we go. Snare here sound good. Clap's good. Hi-hat's good. I'm gonna lower it 1 or 2 dB. Separate the stereos a little bit. Separate the stereo image of basically that knob right there. If you don't know what it does, I feel like not a lot of people do, especially beginners. It's just going to separate the stereo a little bit, widen the sound out a little bit. You could alternatively or also do a dimension expander or stereo shaper. Give it a nice little wideness. Yeah, it's got to sound nice and crisp. And the 808 here. It's not quite as fast as I want it, so I'm going to add a little bit of sound geyser, which is basically an image line plugin that makes it sound good. So that's on 0. We're going to drag up until it sounds nice. Yeah, there we go. You can see here on our EQ in this 100 to 200 range, it's really hitting. That's what we want. Alright, so there's our drum pattern, and it's all mixed and everything. So let's listen to it now. Sound pretty good here. One last thing here, I don't know if it's affecting right here, but on the 808, if you go to the wrench here, yeah, so it's already cutting itself, but you want to make sure you click cut self. So basically what that does is when another note of it plays, it'll immediately cut out the previous note, so there's no carryover or any of that, no bleeding. And I think what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to drag out these notes by holding Alt and then clicking L. And what that's going to do now is if we go to the envelope, the volume envelope, we put the sustain all the way up and then everything else down. It's going to make it so that it's perfectly controlled by the length of the note we play. So however long we hold the note is how long it's going to play. And you'll notice here at the end it just cuts off immediately. So that's perfect. Alright, up next we're going to arrange the beat.